A Christmas Miracle. The Promise Sealed in Snow. Subscribe for more unexpected love stories. Like this video if you believe in second chances, and comment your favorite moment of this incredible story. The final countdown and the interruption. The clock on the wall read 11 o'clock. Time was running out for the goodbye. Tina tried to ignore the clock as she helped Ayla organize the Libras drawings. Every minute that passed was one less in the countdown to her departure. She still had to finish packing, confirm the time with Deborah, who would pick her up later that afternoon, and say goodbye. The thought made her stomach sink. 11 months had completely transformed her life. When she accepted the job, she thought it would be temporary, an opportunity to gain practical experience before finding a position at a school. She never expected to grow so attached to Ayla, nor did she expect the silent presence of HEARTWARMING to become so important. The sound of Heitor's cell phone broke the comfortable silence that had settled between them. He looked at the screen with a resigned expression. "I have to take this," he said, standing up. "It's the Japanese client." Tina nodded, not trusting her voice to respond. That's how things worked in Heitor world. Business always came first. It had been a surprise that he had spent the entire morning with them. As Heitor left the room to take the call, Ayla looked at Tina and made a gesture they had created between them. Fingers sliding down her face, mimicking tears, followed by a question mark drawn in the air. "Are you sad?" "A little," Tina admitted, smiling through the emotion that threatened to overwhelm her. "I'm going to miss you very much, little star." Ayla approached and placed her tiny hand on Tina's face, wiping away a tear that had escaped. The tenderness of the gesture almost broke Tina. How could she leave this child, who had become the center of her world? "But you know what?" she continued, trying to keep her voice steady. "We can still see each other. I can come visit you on holidays, and maybe your dad will take you to see me in Belo Horizonte someday." Ayla's eyes lit up at the possibility. She ran to her bed and grabbed her drawing notebook, quickly scribbling something before showing it to Tina. It was a simple drawing of a plane, with 3 figures sitting inside. Clearly her, Ayla, and Heitor. "Yes, maybe we can travel together someday," Tina replied, knowing she was feeding a hope that would probably never be realized. When she left, life would move on. Heitor would hire a new nanny, Ayla would adapt, and Tina would just be a memory. From the hallway, they heard Heitor's voice on the phone, speaking English with his Japanese client. Even without understanding everything, Tina could tell he was trying to cut the conversation short. This was new. Normally, when it came to business, Heitor lost track of time. "What do you say we prepare lunch?" Tina suggested, trying to distract Ayla and herself. "We can make that pasta you love." Ayla clapped her hands in approval, and the two went down to the kitchen, leaving Heitor with his call. In the spacious kitchen overlooking the Sao Paulo skyline, Tina started taking out the ingredients, while Ayla climbed onto her special stool to help. It was a routine they had perfected over the months. The girl loved to cook, and Tina had turned the activity into a learning opportunity, teaching colors, numbers, and concepts through cooking. Heitor was surprisingly clumsy in the kitchen, knocking over a bowl and almost cutting his finger while slicing tomatoes. But for the first time since Tina had known him, he didn't seem frustrated with his own imperfection. On the contrary, he laughed at his mistakes and let Ayla correct him, accepting his daughter's guidance with humility. It was as if a different version of Heitor Bastos had emerged. Someone lighter, more accessible. Someone he might have been before the tragedy that stole his wife and left his daughter traumatized. "Nara and I used to cook together on weekends," he suddenly commented, while stirring the sauce. Before everything, she loved trying new recipes." Tina looked at him in surprise. It was the first time he had mentioned Nara voluntarily. She seemed like a wonderful person, Taina replied softly. Heitor nodded, a sad smile playing on his lips. She was full of life, loved music, dancing, art. She chose Ayla's name. He looked lovingly at his daughter, who was busy arranging basil leaves on the sauce. It means moonlight in Turkish. She used to say our daughter would illuminate our darkest days. A raw emotion passed through his voice, and Taina felt a lump in her throat. Behind the facade of the successful businessman was a man still struggling to doubt or deal with a devastating loss. She was right, Taina said, looking tenderly at Ayla. Even on the hardest days, Ayla finds ways to bring light. Their eyes met over the girl's head, and something passed between them. A silent understanding, a recognition of shared pain and timid hope. The moment was broken by the oven timer. Heitor blinked, as if waking from a trance, and stepped away to grab the oven mitts. The unfinished sentence and the snow, after lunch while Heitor and Ayla went to find the ingredients for the cookies. Taina found herself alone in the kitchen for a moment. She looked around the space that had been her domain for almost a year. In a few hours, all this would be just a memory. Leave that. Heitor's voice surprised her. Rosa will take care of it later. He placed the cookie ingredients on the counter, while Ayla hopped beside him, clearly eager to start. Force of habit, Taina explained with a weak smile. Heitor approached, stopping just a step away from her. He was close enough for her to smell his subtle sandalwood and bergamot cologne. Close enough to notice the small worry lines around his eyes. Taina, he began, his voice low and intense. The sound of the doorbell interrupted whatever he was about to say. Both jumped slightly, like teenagers caught in the middle of something forbidden. Rosa, the cleaner, entered the kitchen. Mr. Bastos, I didn't expect to find you here so early, she commented, surprised. Happy Christmas Eve. Likewise, Rosa, Heitor replied, with a polite smile. But Taina noticed the slight disappointment in his voice. The moment between them had dissipated. They started decorating the cookies. Heitor was surprisingly engaged, laughing at his own mistakes, accepting Ayla's adorable guidance. You brought life back to this house, Taina, he said, so low she almost didn't hear him. Before you arrived, it was as if we were just existing, not living. Taina's heart raced at his words. She opened her mouth to reply, but was interrupted by Ayla, who was pulling her sleeve to show that she had finished cutting out the cookies into star and tree shapes. While the cookies were baking, filling the kitchen with the sweet aroma of vanilla and cinnamon, Heitor received a call he couldn't ignore this time. It's the law firm, he explained with an apologetic look. I have to take this, but I won't be long. Taina nodded, trying not to show her disappointment. For a few hours, she had allowed herself to forget who they were. A busy billionaire and his temporary employee. The reality always found a way to assert itself. Heitor returned to the kitchen, putting away his phone. Problems with an international contract. Nothing that can't wait until after the holiday. But it won't be you, Heitor said, his voice suddenly serious, referencing the new nanny. Taina looked at him, surprised by the frankness of his words. Ayla, sensing the change in the mood, looked from one to the other curiously. Ayla, why don't you show Taina the drawing we did last night? Heitor suggested. The special one. Ayla's eyes lit up, and she ran upstairs. As soon as they were alone, Heitor approached Taina. I need to tell you something, he began, his voice graver than usual. Something I've been thinking about for weeks. Taina's heart was pounding so hard, she was sure he could hear it. Her hands trembled slightly, and she occupied them by reorganizing the icing tube so he wouldn't notice. What is it? She asked, keeping her eyes fixed on her hands. Heitor hesitated, running a hand through his hair in a nervous gesture. I wanted to know if you... Once again they were interrupted, this time by Rosa, who entered the kitchen to get water. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, she said, noticing the tension in the air. Heitor backed away, The moment lost again. Isla returned, bringing a large folded paper. Taina unfolded the drawing, a detailed representation of the apartment during Christmas, with the large living room tree decorated, presents underneath, and 3 figures sitting together on the sofa: Heitor, Ayla, and her. At the top, in irregular, colorful letters, was written, Minha Familia, my family. It's perfect, Taina replied, turning to face Heitor. They were so close now she could count his eyelashes. For one insane moment, she thought he might kiss her. The oven timer went off, breaking the spell. Taina quickly pulled away, her face hot with embarrassment. He was her employer, a man still grieving his wife. The cookies should be ready to decorate now, she said, seeking refuge in the practical task. On paper, she's perfect, Heitor said, finally looking at her. But she won't be you. What do you mean? Taina asked breathlessly. Before he could answer, Taina's cell phone vibrated in her pocket. It was a message from Deborah. I'm 20 minutes away. Horrible traffic. Are you ready? 20 minutes. The final countdown had begun. I need to finish packing, she said. Showing the message to Heitor, he looked at the phone, then at Taina, a shadow passing across his face. Of course, he replied, his voice suddenly formal. I don't want to delay your departure. Taina wanted to say something, to explain that she didn't want to leave. She looked at him, confused, then followed Ayla out of the room. The miracle of Mai, Taina, and Ayla were back in the living room, beside the Christmas tree. Taina's suitcase stood by the door. It's all packed, little star, Taina said, kneeling before Ayla. This isn't goodbye forever. It's just, see you later. Ayla made the gesture they had created, hand separating, and then reconnecting. Promise? Taina returned the gesture. I promise. The sound of the doorbell broke the silence. Everyone turned. It couldn't be Deborah yet. Rosa appeared from the corridor. When she opened the door, a blast of cold air rushed in, along with tiny ice crystals floating in the air. It's snowing, Rosa exclaimed, astonished. I've never seen this on Christmas Eve. Ayla ran to the door, marveling at the slowly falling white flakes. She pulled Taina's hand, inviting her to see the spectacle. Together, the 3 of them, Heitor, Ayla, and Taina, approached the balcony, observing the unusual phenomenon. The city below them began to cover itself with a thin white blanket, the Christmas lights reflecting in the snow and creating an almost magical setting. Taina looked at Ayla, whose face was illuminated by the wonder of the snow. Then, her eyes met Heitor's. He watched her with an expression that made her heart leap, intense, vulnerable, and for the first time, completely open. A Christmas miracle, Rosa murmured, retreating to the kitchen. Alone on the balcony, with Ayla busy trying to catch snowflakes with her hands, Heitor finally broke the silence. Taina, he began, his voice low and urgent. Before you go, I need to ask you one thing. Heitor took Taina's hands in his. They were warm against her fingers, which were cold from the wind. I've been postponing this all day, weeks actually, but I can't let you leave without asking. Ask what? She whispered, barely finding her voice. Heitor briefly looked at Ayla, who was absorbed in catching snowflakes, and then his eyes returned to Taina. Do you really want to leave? Taina felt the air escape her lungs. I have a new job waiting for me, she answered, knowing it wasn't a real answer. The opportunity I worked for years for. I know, Heitor said, and I have no right to ask you to give that up. But I need you to know. Ayla isn't the only one who would miss you. Heitor, what exactly are you saying? She asked, needing clarity. He took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. I'm saying that in these 11 months, you've become essential to us, he began, the words rushing out now. Not just as Ayla's nanny, but as part of our lives. my life. He took another step toward her. I fell in love with you, Taina Carvalho. And I know it's unfair to say this now, when you're about to leave to pursue your dream. But I couldn't let you go without knowing. Taina's tears were flowing freely now. These were words she hadn't dared to dream of hearing from Heitor Bastos. I fell in love with you too, she finally admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. But I never thought there could be anything between us. Our worlds are so different. Does that matter? He asked, wiping her tears away. Our worlds, or what we feel for each other. I have a proposal. My company is opening a branch in Belo Horizonte next year. I'm planning to spend at least 1 week a month there, overseeing the start of operations. And I was thinking that maybe Ayla and I could move there eventually, if there's someone worth staying close to. You would change your life for me, Taina corrected him. For you, for Ayla, and for what we can be together. You would still have your dream job, and we would find a way to make it work. Me, you, and Ayla. I feel the same way, so much that it scares me, Taina interrupted, unable to contain the emotion. But Heitor, I don't want you to give up everything for me. I'm not giving up anything, he assured her, just reorganizing priorities, something I should have done a long time ago. Ayla needs me present, and I need you in our lives. Then what do you say? Heitor asked, holding her hands. Can we try? I, you, and Ayla. Before Taina could answer, they heard a small noise coming from the balcony door. They turned and saw Ayla standing there, watching them with wide eyes. Ayla! Heitor called, extending his hand to his daughter. Come here, princess. The girl ran to them, looking from one to the other with curiosity. Heitor knelt to her level. Taina and I were talking about something very important, he explained, using the simple Libras gestures he had learned. What do you think, if the three of us could stay together, if Taina didn't have to leave today? Ayla's eyes lit up with a joy so pure and intense that Taina felt more tears forming in her own eyes. The girl started jumping up and down, clapping in a silent but completely expressive enthusiasm. Then, something extraordinary happened. Ayla stopped, looked directly at Taina, and her small lips moved, forming a sound she hadn't made in almost a year. Mommy. The sound, though low and slightly rough from disuse, was clear enough for both to hear. Tina brought her hands to her mouth, shocked. Heitor looked equally stunned, his eyes welling up, fixed on his daughter. Ayla, he whispered, barely believing it. Did you speak? The girl smiled, a smile so radiant it seemed to illuminate the entire balcony. She reached out her arms to Taina, repeating, Mommy! Taina fell to her knees on the snow-dusted balcony, hugging Ayla with all her strength. Heitor joined them, wrapping his strong arms around them, creating a perfect circle. It looks like we have our answer, he murmured, his voice choked with emotion, kissing the top of Taina's head. I think so, she replied, laughing and crying at the same time. At that moment, with the snow falling over Sao Paulo in a rare Christmas phenomenon, Taina knew she had found her home. It wasn't a place, but the two people she was now embracing. When they finally came inside, they found Rosa and Deborah in the living room. Change of plans, Taina announced, smiling at her friend. I don't think I'll need that ride today. Deborah raised her eyebrows, but her smile said she understood perfectly what had happened. And the job in Belo Horizonte? Deborah asked. I'm still going to take it, Taina replied, exchanging a knowing look with Heitor. But it looks like I won't be alone there. Rosa smiled, satisfied, as if she had foreseen him and everything from the beginning. Well, I think that deserves a celebration, the cleaner declared, heading to the kitchen. I'll make some more hot chocolate for everyone, and maybe we can try those Christmas cookies too. As Rosa and Deborah retreated to the kitchen, giving them a moment alone, Heitor turned to Taina, his eyes shining with a mixture of love. Merry Christmas, Taina, he said softly. "Merry Christmas, Heitor," she replied, feeling like her heart might burst with happiness. Ayla, still between them, looked up with a radiant smile, and to the joy of both, she spoke again. "Merry Christmas, Mommy and Daddy," as the snow continued to fall outside, turning the city into a magical Christmas setting. 3 hearts that had been marked by loss found a new chance in the most unexpected and beautiful way. A family rebuilt by love on the eve of the most special day of the year. The New Home, a family forged by choice. Subscribe to follow the Bastos family journey. Like this video if you believe in the power of love and perseverance, and comment what you are most looking forward to seeing in Belo Horizonte. Reorganizing priorities. A new year, a new life. 3 months had passed since that magical Christmas Eve, and everything had changed rapidly. Heitor had not been speaking lightly. He swiftly reorganized his business affairs. Contrary to many predictions, reducing his meetings and delegating executive responsibilities did not cause his company to collapse. Instead, it fostered greater autonomy among his executives, allowing Bastos Tech to thrive. Most importantly, the promise was kept. In early March, Taina officially started her dream job at Escola Luz in Belo Horizonte. And soon after, Heitor purchased a spacious, welcoming home in the Savassi area, close to Taina's new school. On the morning of the move, the Morumbi penthouse was filled with laughter instead of cold silence. Ayla, now 5 and talking again, though still a bit shy, ran around the cardboard boxes, sticking labels that read, "Ayla's Toys," onto everything. Heitor struggled with an oversized suitcase, looking more awkward than ever. "Are you sure you packed enough coffee, Heitor?" Taina teased, leaning against the doorway. She no longer saw the rigid boss, but the man who had knelt in the snow and confessed his love. "I packed enough for 3 years, Heitor sighed, "but I still feel like I'm forgetting a critical contract. Maybe I should call Rosa to ask if she packed your scented candles." "You don't need to worry about Rosa. She's already in Belo Horizonte, setting up our kitchen. And the most critical contract is sitting right here on the floor." Taina smiled, pointing to Ayla, who was helping tape a box shut. Since Taina accepted his proposal, their relationship had deepened in a natural and profound way. They took the time to truly date, strolling in Ibirapuera Park, visiting art galleries, and quiet evenings on Taina's old sofa, where they talked for hours after Ayla was asleep. Heitor learned to let go of control, and Taina learned to accept that his help was not pity, but an act of love. A new life in Minas Gerais. Belo Horizonte welcomed them with warm sunshine and a pleasant, friendly atmosphere. Their new home quickly became a haven. Taina's work at Escola Luz was a brilliant success. She thrived in her new role, sharing her patience and expertise with her colleagues. Ayla, with the newfound stability, and Taina's presence as mommy, a role Taina embraced with love and respect for Nara's memory, began to open up. Specialists were amazed at how quickly her selective mutism vanished. Ayla now talked constantly, often recounting her day's adventures at her new preschool to Taina and Heitor. Heitor, true to his word, shifted his primary operations to Belo Horizonte. He set up a small office near home, and instead of weekly cross-country flights, he now only attended online meetings. He spent more time at home than ever before, learning to bake pão de queijo under Rosa's strict supervision, and doing the school run himself. The bond between Taina and Heitor deepened, transcending all social and economic barriers. Their love was not the fleeting vanity of Sao Paulo, but a sincere commitment. On a quiet evening, after Ayla was asleep, Taina and Heitor sat on the comfortable living room sofa. "Do you have any regrets?" Heitor asked, holding her hand. "About giving up the stability?" and coming here with a messy guy like me? Taina shook her head. Never. I found my dream job, and I found my family, Heitor. I found peace. And you? I found life, Heitor replied, his gaze filled with admiration. I learned that life is not measured in profit margins, but in moments. Moments like Ayla calling you mommy, or me messing up the pão de queijo. You saved me from myself. The promise of forever. On the anniversary of the night Taina and Heitor officially became a couple, they celebrated with a simple dinner at home. After Ayla was asleep, Heitor led Taina out onto the balcony overlooking the city. 13 months ago, I was desperate, Heitor said, taking out a small black velvet box. I had prepared a complex speech about restructuring my life and acquiring a company in Minas Gerais. But I realized, he knelt down, all those strategies were meaningless. The box opened, revealing an elegant platinum ring set with a small, sparkling diamond, a perfect contrast to the ostentation of his past. I don't have a grand speech, Taina. I only have this promise. Let me continue learning to be a better father and a better man by your side. Will you marry me and allow me, with all respect and love for Nara, to be Ayla's father forever? Tears streamed down Taina's cheeks. She looked at the man who had changed everything for love and integrity. Yes, Heitor, yes, I want to be your family. As they embraced under the starry sky of Belo Horizonte, the ring was not just an engagement promise. It was a symbol of their legacy, a family built on perseverance, truth, and a love that found its light amidst the darkness. Ayla had taught Heitor how to speak, and Taina had taught him how to live. Together, they had created a family whose value could not be measured by any asset. Final call to action. If this story of redemption and finding true love touched your heart, please like and share. Don't forget to subscribe to follow Taina and Heitor's next chapter as husband and wife. The Belo Horizonte Wedding, a celebration of second chances. Subscribe to attend Taina and Heitor's wedding. Like this video if you love happy endings, and comment your best wishes for the bride and groom, preparing for the big day. 2 years passed since Heitor proposed to Taina under the starry Belo Horizonte sky, and they were finally ready for the wedding. Their relationship had stabilized and deepened, solidified by daily life, shared responsibilities, and boundless love for Ayla. They decided on a small, intimate ceremony at a quaint, old-world villa with a vineyard in Ouro Preto, near Belo Horizonte, a town known for its historical architecture and peaceful atmosphere. It was an elegant event, but not ostentatious, a stark contrast to the lavish soirees Heitor was once accustomed to. Taina had become the program director at Escola Luz. Her career thrived thanks to Heitor's commitment to remotely managing Bastos Tech. Ayla, now a confident, articulate 7-year-old, had completely overcome her selective mutism. She was taking English lessons and drawing classes, and she never failed to remind everyone that she was the one who brought Taina into their lives. Are you sure you don't want a grander gown, Taina? Deborah, Taina's best friend and sole maid of honor, asked during a dress fitting. Taina looked at herself in the mirror. The simple, elegant lace gown highlighted her natural beauty. This dress is perfect, Deborah. He loves me for who I am, not for the extravagance he can afford. He wants me to be myself. Ayla's special role and the vows. The night before the wedding, Heitor went to the quaint old church where Rosa was arranging Taina's favorite bouquets of wildflowers. He saw Ayla sitting on the windowsill, dressed in a small white lace dress. "My daughter, aren't you nervous?" Heitor asked, kneeling beside her. Ayla looked at him, her eyes radiant. "No, I'm happy, because Taina will never leave us again." "That's right," Heitor said, hugging his daughter. "She will be your mommy forever." "And you will be her daddy," Ayla declared earnestly. The wedding ceremony took place under the golden sunset of Millionaire'S. Only the closest family and friends attended. When Taina walked down the aisle, she was not given away by her late father, but by Hator, who held her hand tightly, ready to face a shared future together. The most moving moment was when Ayla, in her role as honorary flower girl, stepped onto the altar. She didn't read her vows. Instead, she used sign language to speak to Taina and Hator. Taina, who had taught Ayla the language, translated the words for Hator and the guests. "I love you, Mommy Taina," Ayla signed. "Thank you for teaching me how to talk. I love you, Daddy Hator. Thank you for loving both of us. We are family now." Taina's voice cracked with emotion. Hator, tears welling up in his eyes, held both of them tightly. It was not just a vow between two adults, but the vow of an entire family. The final vow in his vows, Hator spoke with a genuine sincerity he had never dared to express before. "Taina, I once lived a life measured by profits and control. You and Ayla taught me that true wealth is the chaos of unplannable moments, the smell of burnt pão de queijo, Ayla's laughter when I tell stories, and the peace I feel when I see you asleep. I promise I will never prioritize work over our family again. I will always choose you. I will always choose us." Taina, with the wedding ring now on her hand, promised she would never let him forget his true self, and that she would always be a guiding light for him and Ayla. As Hator and Taina exchanged their kiss, Ayla stood right next to them, not as an observer, but as the center of that promise. Their marriage was not the end of a story, but the confirmation of a new life. Their life was proof that true love is a conscious choice, built on respect, truth, and the full acceptance of life's surprises. Hator found his family in the most unexpected place, and Taina found love in the man she once considered a distant employer. Final call to action. Where do you think the Bastos family should go for their honeymoon? Leave your ideas in the comments section. Don't forget to like and share this hopeful love story. The honeymoon in the expansion. A new legacy begins. Subscribe to follow the new chapter of the Bastos family life. Like this video if you believe that love can rearrange all priorities, and comment your favorite honeymoon destination. The unexpected honeymoon, where love outlasts strategy. To celebrate their wedding, Hator planned something completely outside his usual strategy. He booked a 2-week stay at a secluded ecological resort in Fernando de Noronha, Brazil, a place with no strong Wi-Fi, no emergency meetings, and only raw natural beauty. Taina was genuinely surprised. She had expected a bustling, luxurious European location from Hator. "Noronha?" Taina asked when she saw the plane tickets. "No stable cell signal?" "Exactly." Hator grinned, the genuine, relaxed smile she loved. "This is where I learned to be a great husband without the help of Google, and where you teach me how to do nothing. This is where we learn how to simply be." And that is exactly what they did. The 2 weeks passed in peaceful bliss, filled with scuba diving, exploring deserted beaches, and simply enjoying each other's presence. Throughout the trip, Taina noticed that Hator was neither restless nor bored. He was completely present, listening to her with the absolute attention he once reserved for boardroom meetings. It was in that stillness that Taina realized how profoundly Hator had changed. He hadn't just restructured his company, he had restructured his soul. "When did you plan this?" Taina asked one evening, as they watched the sunset over the ocean. "Since that Christmas," Hator confessed. "I knew I needed to take you somewhere where money or career held no meaning, just you and me. And that is my most valuable asset." Ada's flourishing independence, meanwhile, back in Belo Horizonte, Ayla stayed with Taina's maternal grandparents, who had arrived early for the wedding. Although she missed her parents, Ayla showed incredible independence and maturity. She wrote an important letter to her parents. When Heitor and Taina returned home, Ayla ran to hug them, then solemnly handed them a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter written in careful handwriting, every word spelled out in both Portuguese and sign language. Dear Mommy and Daddy, I missed you so much, but I cleaned my room and learned how to make Grandma's pão de queijo. I didn't cry. I know you always come back. I love you. I promise I will never get lost again. Love, Ayla. And Sir Reginaldo. Reading the final words, the promise never to get lost again, made Taina and Heitor tear up. They realized that their finding each other had not only saved Heitor from loneliness and Taina from despair, it had freed Ayla from the fear of abandonment that had haunted her since the accident. She had learned that true love always finds its way back. The new legacy, Bastos Tech for Good. Upon their return, Taina and Heitor quickly set about creating a shared legacy that extended beyond their home. Heitor announced a new Bastos Tech initiative, Linguagem de Luz, Language of Light, a fund dedicated to developing technology applications and educational resources to help children with special needs, particularly those with mutism and other speech disorders. The motivation for the project came from Taina, who brought her expertise and Ayla's experience to the table. Heitor used his financial and technical genius to turn Taina's vision into a global-reaching project. They proved to the world, and to themselves, that wealth is not something to collect, but a tool to create meaningful change. They had built not just a company, but a family. And now they were building a legacy grounded in love and redemption. But final call to action. Which country do you think the Linguagem da Luz project will be most successful in? Leave your opinion in the comments section. Don't forget to like and share this inspirational story. The final legacy: love, choice, and the language of light. Subscribe and like this video to support integrity and true love. The final lesson awaits you. The final sunset. A life measured by love. Many years passed. The Bastos Tech empire, under Heitor's balanced leadership, continued to grow, but it was now driven by purpose, not just profit. The Linguagem da Luz project became a major global charity, establishing foundations for early intervention centers across Brazil and expanding internationally, giving a voice to thousands of children. Heitor and Taina remained in Belo Horizonte, where they had found their home. Their life revolved around Ayla, now a talented, articulate high schooler preparing for art school, and their meaningful work. Their relationship was not just love, but a covenant, an understanding that love is the continuous choice to prioritize the other over oneself. On an anniversary evening, with Ayla out with friends, Taina and Heitor sat on their porch, enjoying their favorite vinho tinto, watching the city sparkle under the moonlight. Do you ever regret giving up the flights and the Sao Paulo meetings? Taina asked, knowing the answer, but wanting to hear it again. Heitor squeezed her hand. I regret not doing it sooner. I used to be an expensive Swiss watch. Beautiful, precise, but soulless. You and Ayla dismantled me, threw out the unnecessary gears, and taught me how to live with purpose. I remember the day at the airport. Taina smiled gently. You didn't see me. You just saw a woman who needed help. And you saw a man who needed saving, even though he didn't know it, Heitor countered. They had taught each other that redemption doesn't come from finding a new life, but from restructuring the current one with integrity and love. The ultimate lesson learned, the story of Taina and Heitor, is a powerful reminder that true value cannot be measured by money. Heitor, who was materially wealthy but spiritually poor, found genuine richness in Taina's simple, purposeful, and loving life. Presence is the most critical factor. Ayla's healing and love came not from the best specialists or luxury, but from the full, undivided presence of Taina, and subsequently, HEARTWARMING. Presence beats luxury. Real love is a conscious choice. Their relationship succeeded not because of fleeting romance, but because they consciously chose to prioritize truth, vulnerability, and each other's needs over personal fear and convenience. Redemption comes from action, not words. HEARTWARMING proved his love by radically shifting his work and life priorities, turning Tina's purpose into their shared legacy. The ultimate legacy of the Bastos family is not Bastos Tech, but Linguagem de Luz, a reminder that sometimes the deepest connections are forged in silence, and true love is the language every heart can understand. Chant a final blessing. Always remember it's never too late to reorganize your priorities. Like and share this story to inspire others searching for their purpose.